So, we're on worksheet 3-2, and that asks us to find the quotient and remainder of f of x is divided by p of x. So, we're dividing polynomials, okay, dividing them. Adding polynomials are really simple. You just add like terms. Subtracting polynomials, same thing. Multiplying polynomials, think of like FOIL. Dividing polynomials stinks. Nobody likes that, okay? The good news is there's not nearly as many questions on this as what we did in Algebra 2. I think there's only, just the first 8 that are going to be long division. What you might like, do you guys remember questions 21 through 20, or 21 through 28? Do you remember synthetic division? Once we start doing it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that. I'll give you a clue. See if you can get the clue just from this. Synthetic division starts out with this. No? You don't remember that little box thing? Okay, we'll get there eventually. So I didn't have you for Algebra 2, did I?
Yeah.
I did?
No.
I had you for just FST last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so all they're asking you to do on question number 1, they're asking you to take the first polynomial, f of x, and they're asking you to divide it by the second polynomial, p of x, okay? So, just watch for a second right here, okay? I'm going to write this down. You don't need to. It's on your paper. It says f of x equals 2x to the 4th minus x3. Again, if you want to write it down, you can, but you don't need to. Minus 3x squared plus 7x minus 12. And then p of x is x squared minus 3. Okay, so they're asking you, again, I would not write any of this down yet. They're asking you to take f of x and divide by this. So they're asking, don't write this down, 2x4 minus x3 minus 3x squared plus 7x minus 12, and divide it by x squared minus 3. That's what they're asking you to do. And again, don't write that down. Okay? Let's go back to 6th grade or so. 6th grade. If I gave you this right here, no calculators, okay? If I gave you, that, okay, and I said, figure that out without a calculator. You can use paper and pencil, but you can't use a calculator. How would you do it? Let's get very, very, very basic here. What would you do first?
Long division.
So tell me what to do. I don't know what you
I
do.
don't know. I don't even remember.
Tell me what to write.
Is that like?
Okay, that's it. He didn't even say anything. He went, boop, boop. That's what he did. Okay? All right? Help me out.
There's no 11 going left.
11 goes here. Yep. And
Big number on the side.
big number on the inside. Okay, the reason why I told you not to write this down is because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do that. So we're going to draw a little box thing. What goes out here? X squared minus 3. And what goes in the box? This stuff. This thing right there. 2x4 minus x3 minus 3x squared plus 7x minus 12. Okay? We're going to kind of do 2 problems at once here. Okay? We're going to continue with that because we're doing the same thing, just as variables. Okay? And I'm going to put somebody on the spot right here, and it's really okay. If I put you on the spot, I'm not trying to get you. Okay? If I put you on the spot, it's because I know you know what you're doing. Okay? So how do I do this? Do you guys remember what I do now? What?
Try to like fit 11 into the numbers. It doesn't
Into
go-
what number?
Into the big number, but like it doesn't go to 4, so you do 43, and it fits into 43. So
Stop right there. Are you looking at the 2, the 1 to the 8 right now?
No.
Very good. He's not supposed to. He looked at the 4 and you said, But then, because 11 don't go into 4 because it's too big. But you said 43 was okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And how many times does 11 go into 43?
3 was
3 times. 3 times. So I'm going to write the number 3 somewhere. You guys remember where?
above the 3.
Above the 3. Okay. Again, one more time. You looking at the 218 right now? You're going to look at it eventually? Yep. Okay. So do the same thing here. Don't look at the whole problem. Don't look at the whole thing. All you do is look at the first thing and the first thing. Okay? I'm going to say this several different ways. How many times does x squared go into 2x4? Or what do I multiply x squared by to make 2x to the 4th? What do I times x? 2? 2x squared. So where do I put 2x squared at? On top. Write that up there, okay? Let's go back over here again, okay? Jonathan said it goes in 3 times. So what am I going to write down right now?
33.
Where did you get 33 from?
11 times 3.
You took 3 times which of these digits? Both of them. Took 3 times each of that. So we're going to take 2x squared and do what with that? Times it by which of these?
X
Both of them.
squared.
Okay? 2x squared times x squared is 2x4.
You use both even though you didn't use the minus 3? We only use x squared.
Well, here's the deal, okay? I want to say this. If this was a 12, you still would have said 3 because 12 goes into 43. So you did use, if this was a 17, you would not put a 3 right there because 17 times 3 is too big. Okay?
Yeah, but you're still using that whole number while other thing we didn't consider.
Right, but you didn't, yeah, because you were looking
you
at.
don't ignore the 7 and it's still there. But on another one we ignore the 3.
We did and we did. I didn't say it out loud, but we did consider it. If I would have said 17 right here, you would not have said 3. Because 17 times 3, because you are looking at the 7.
Yeah.
But when it was an 11, you were okay with it. I didn't say it, but you did consider it. You may not even realize it, but you did consider it.
Well, because you're looking at 11, but on the other one we only looked at x squared. We didn't consider the minus 3.
Right, well, okay. Let's see this. Yes, you look at just the first thing, but when you multiply it by all.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so be careful on this also. Okay, I would just watch for a second here. We're going to take 2x squared times each of these. We already did this. Just watch. 2x squared times negative 3 is negative 6x squared. Don't write this down. Don't write that down, okay? Nothing wrong with what I did right here, okay? Nothing wrong with it. Just watch. We're just going to put this on hold, okay? Let's backtrack over here. What do I do now? In one word.
You subtract.
Subtract. Okay? So we subtract here. The reason why I told you not to write it down is this. 2x4 minus 2x4, that's gone. What is negative x3 take away negative 6x squared?
Positive 5x. Oh, wait, no.
You can't. They're not like terms. I told you not to write it down there. Where do you think I should have had you write it? Right there. Leave a space. Otherwise, and I'm not making fun here, okay? Jonathan was trying to add, you were trying to combine unlike terms. Always line up your like terms, okay? So let's subtract all of this, all of it. So 2x4 minus 2x4, that's gone. Now, what's a negative x3 minus nothing? What's negative x3 take away nothing?
Negative x3.
X3. You're going to make a mistake, here it is. What's negative 3x squared minus 6x squared? Just ignore the x squared. Not positive 9. Negative 3 minus 6.
Oh.
Minus 3x squared. Positive 3x squared. Okay? Let's go back over there again. Now what do we do?
Now you use the 10 on.
Huh?
Now you use the 10 with 2, I think.
You drop down to 2? Now, when I was taught it back in elementary school, they had you drop them down one at a time. Here's what I think would be easier. I think it's drop down everything. Okay? And then you know what you do with all this stuff right here? Don't look at it. Ignore it. Okay? So what do we do now? Drop down the plus 7x, drop down the minus 12. And this is what's frustrating as a teacher. Not like I get mad, but it's frustrating because students tend to get to this point and then they get stuck. And it's frustrating because you know what you do next? It's one word. You repeat it. You've done it once, now you just repeat it. Okay? So in this case, you would say 11 doesn't go into 10, but 11 goes to 102. Okay? So we look at just the first thing. What do I times x squared by to make negative x3? What's that? Yeah, you can. How do I times x squared? Negative x. Negative x. Put negative x, and just stop there for a second. Okay? Now, let's backtrack over here again. Watch carefully. If you're going to make a mistake, here it is. 11 doesn't go into 1. 11 doesn't go into 10. But 11 does go into 102 9 times. 9 times. So I put a 9 here. Watch carefully. How do I get this number down here?
Do 11. Wait, no.
Where'd you get 99 from? You took all of this times all of this?
No, 11.
Just the new number times all of this. Just the 9 times 11, which is 99. So, to get these here, do I take all of this times all of this?
That's one.
Just what?
The one you just
Which is what? No, not x. Minus x. Minus x times each of these. Negative x times x2, negative x3. Negative x times negative 3, a negative times a negative is a positive. Positive 3x. Do you want me to put 3x right here? Where should I put it? Under the 7x. Line up your like terms. For the second time, what do we do? Subtract. Negative x3 minus minus x3 minus minus is plus plus. They cancel. If you're sitting there going, do the first terms always cancel? Short answer is they do if you're doing it right. If you do this and your first terms don't cancel, you messed up. First terms should always cancel. 3x squared take away nothing. 3x squared. 7x minus 3x is 4x. Then drop your negative 12. Now what?
You have to do it again.
Do it again. Repeat it again.
3 is
How do you make x squared 3x squared?
3.
Times by positive 3. And you don't just put a 3 down. You got to put something in between them. So you got to be a plus sign. It's not negative 3, so put a plus sign. And then take each of these by that new number, 3. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times negative 3. A lot of times students say, oh, it's 0. We're not adding. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Subtract again. 3x squared minus 3x squared, that's gone. 4x minus nothing is 4x. And then negative 12, watch all the negatives, minus minus 9, negative 12 minus minus 9, plus plus, negative 3. Now Jonathan answered this inadvertently a while back on that one over there. How do you make x squared 4x? You can't. It's too big. That is x to the second, that has x to the first. Just like, how do you make 11 go into 4? You can't. 11 can't go into 4, it's too big. You can't make an x squared into a 4x to the first. You can't make an x squared into, you can't times x squared by something to make it an x to the first, okay? So that's your remainder, okay? So, just want to make sure we understand. When you were kids, if I gave you something like this, 11 divided by 2, you'd say 5. And the answer was 5 and 1 half. You know, $11 split 2 ways is $5.50, okay? Where did the 1 half, well, it's 5 and a half. Well, in middle school, you probably put 5R1. 5 remainder 1. We're not going to write R1. 5 and 1 half. So here's our answer plus, what's our remainder? 4x minus 3 over what? X squared minus 3.
Then you plus the remainder.
Yeah. Okay. You guys remember doing these in algebra 2? We may not have done these in algebra. I bet we didn't do these in algebra 2 because we were locked down. I bet we didn't. Yep, you're right. I mean, whether you realize it or not, you're just doing that, but it has variables in it. And we'll be honest, who likes doing that type of stuff? Nobody does. At this level, when you see a problem like that, you grab a calculator. Okay? But it's the same concept. There's only 8 of these. Yes, that's synthetic division. You have no idea what I was talking about. If you're sitting there going, oh, phew, this is terrible. I agree. Nobody likes this. Okay? But synthetic division, do you remember doing that, synthetic division at all? You'll like that. That's not sarcasm. You will love synthetic division. Okay? Number 3. So, I'm not going to even write the original problem. Okay? I'm going to take the first divided by the second. So, I'm going to write it like this. 3x3 plus 2x minus 4 divided by the second, which is 2x squared plus 1. Well, we're going to immediately rewrite that, okay? So I'm going to have in the box 3x3. One more thing, stop writing if you've gotten to that point. Seriously, stop writing. I would really encourage you to do this. This one's a little bit different. I'm going to give you a huge clue on this one, okay? Here's the huge clue. X to the 4th, x to the 3rd, x to the 2nd, x to the 1st, no x's. 3x3, 2x, negative 4. You see how that's a little bit different? It's not what's there, it's what's missing. What's missing? Huh? There are no x squared. So here's what I would really encourage you do. Put plus 0x squareds. Then put plus 2x. Then put minus 4. It's kind of like this. In middle school, if they gave you 23 times 12, okay? It's been a while since I did this too. You go 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4. What's the very next thing you're supposed to do? You guys remember? Huh? Well, you'll do 1 times 3, but I would do something before you do that. I would put a 0 right here. Put a 0 there, like a placeholder. You don't have to do that, but if you don't, you might shift everything over and it ain't gonna give you the right answer, okay? So, let's put 2x squared plus 1. So I would put a placeholder in there. We didn't need to worry about a placeholder here because there's nothing missing, okay? All right. This ain't gonna be that bad. That'll be a quicker one. Not very nice numbers on this, but that's okay. What do I multiply? Forget the x's right now. What do I multiply 2 by to make 3? It's not a nice number. 1.5. So what do I times 2x squared by to make 3x 3? 1.5x. Then we times each of these times 1.5x. Okay, so 1.5x times 2x squared is 3x3. 1.5x times 1 is 1.5x. And put that under the 2x. Subtract. Geez, this is a very quick one. Oh, it's a really quick one. The x3s are gone. The x squareds are gone. I mean, there's 0x squareds, and you take away nothing. If you're broke and somebody takes all your money, you're still broke, okay? 2 minus $1.50, 0.5x, drop to minus 4. Then we try to repeat it. How do you make 2x squared 0.5x? So plus 0.5x minus 4 over x squared plus 1. I will tell you this, and we're going to get more practice at it. I might just make up some problems tomorrow. There's going to be one question like this on your first test, and it's going to be more like this. It may not be this long, but it ain't going to be that short either. Okay, that was too short. It'll be somewhere in between. You definitely won't see one like number 5 on your test. You're taking the first divided by the second, so you would have 2x squared minus x minus 4 goes into 7x plus 2. How would you divide that out? You can't. So the answer would be 0 with the remainder of this over that. You'd be left with, your answer is going to be just 7x plus 2, or 2x squared minus x minus 4. That's over there. Stupid, boring problem. You definitely are going to have a question like that. All right.